The chance to win the national championship is at hand with this game, but moreover, the battle for Orange Team supremacy is looming, and we're going to figure out which team will win that elite prize. To start off with Clemson, they have a star quarterback in Cade Klubnik, and he is far superior to the mid Quinn Ewers. Ewers has a better supporting cast, I think most of us would agree. So that makes him look a little bit better than he probably should. But I would say, even with that, Klubnik is still the better option. He is a very athletic quarterback, and he can really create with his legs. In addition to that, he is a really, really good passer. Ewers, I think, is worse than Klubnik in both regards. So that's a pretty sizable advantage for Clemson. The next thing I like for Clemson is that they have a quality slot receiver in Antonio Williams, who I think is their best receiver. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I think he's their most talented receiver this instant. So that's a nice thing for Clemson. But what makes it really nice is that Texas has a poor nickelback in Jalen Gilbo. So that really aligns perfectly for Clemson. Their best guy is going to be guarded by their worst guy. So that's a pretty nice matchup for Clemson. Another advantage for them is this is a sneaky one because Texas has such an elite offensive line, but they have a star edge rusher, Clemson that is, in TJ Parker, going against a good offensive tackle in Cameron Williams. Williams is not deficient by any stretch, but he's not going to be up to par with TJ Parker, who is just about as good as it gets for an edge rusher. The next advantage for Clemson is with their cornerback Ashton Hampton, who is a total stud, one of the best in the nation, and he is going against good Texas receivers. Again, they're not bad, but they are not up to the same caliber that Hampton is. The final advantage for Clemson is that they have a great cornerback opposite Hampton in Avion Terrell. Terrell is super good. He is more than capable of being the best corner on a championship caliber team, but he's overshadowed perhaps some by Hampton. Again, though, it'll be Terrell against solid receivers. So it's not like he's going against a total devoid of talent receiving room. He's just going against a room that's not as good as he is, which is often the case. As we move to Texas's advantages, if you're enjoying this video, make sure you like and subscribe, as I'll be pushing out more football videos, both in the pros and in college. And with that out of the way, Texas has the number one pass blocking unit, according to PFF, and they're going against a good Clemson pressure defense. I wouldn't say that it's great, so that's an advantage for Texas. What is also nice for them is that Clemson has, for as good as outside of corners they do not have a good nickel. They have a bad nickel back in Khalil Burns, and he's going to be outplayed more than likely by the solid DeAndre Moore Jr. Moore Jr. is a very solid player, as I mentioned, and he is going to have, I would say, free reign against Khalil Barnes. Barnes is not really proficient in man coverage or zone coverage, I wouldn't say, and he's going to be tasked with playing man coverage a fair bit. So DeAndre Moore may have his way with Barnes. As we shift now to the defensive advantages for Texas, we see that Clemson has good pass blocking, but they're going against an elite Texas pressure unit, and that's going to be really problematic because Texas has some real stars, and they have, at a bare minimum, 4 guys to come at you all at once. That's pretty terrifying. The next thing for them is that Clemson has bad run blocking, and Texas has a good run defense. So that's going to be another advantage for Texas. Texas is going to be able to control the line of scrimmage pretty well in both regards, both offense and defense, in the run and the pass. So that's going to make the Clemson skill players need to really excel, even more so than they normally would. The next advantage for Texas is that they have a gem in Jahdae Barron. He is so good. He is good in man coverage. He's not great at it, but he's good there. And he is A1 in zone coverage. He can erase an entire side of the field, basically. He is impeccable in that regard. And he's going to be going against a solid wide receiver in Bryant Wesco Jr. Wesco Jr. is not bad, but he's not the most exciting receiver either, I wouldn't say. So he's going to be somebody that can present problems to Barron, but Barron is going to have the upper hand even in man coverage where he's not as good, just because there's a talent discrepancy there. Speaking of talent discrepancies, Texas has a great pass rushing defensive tackle in Vernon Broughton. He's good against the run, but he is great as a pass rusher. And he's going against a weak pass protecting interior offensive line. So that could be really problematic for Clemson. The pressure could be getting in from the inside at will, basically. And in addition to that, the inside runs are not going to really be there, especially because Texas has an even better defensive tackle than Broughton, with a quality pass rusher himself in defensive tackle Alfred Collins, who is, I would say, one of the 5 or so best defensive tackles in college football. Collins is a beast run stuffer, and as I mentioned before, he's good as a pass rusher. So that is a dangerous man right there. And once again, he's made more dangerous by going against a poor pass blocking interior offensive line. That's really rough for Clemson. That's a bad draw for sure. The final advantage for the Texas team is that Clemson has a negative offensive tackle who really, I think, is a guard that's playing offensive tackle. Maybe he switches between, but he is, I believe, technically a guard. Walker Parks. He is going against a solid edge rusher in Trey Moore, who is good versus the pass and all right versus the run. So he is going to probably be dangerous in passing situations and not really allow Parks to get much depth in the run game either, because he is more that is solid enough to defend the run. The final advantage for Texas as a whole is that they have home field advantage, and that's pretty big because in college football it matters a bit more than it does in the pros, and Texas has a very good crowd. With all of this said, who is going to be the better orange team? That's a good question, and I actually have wavered a little bit on it. I didn't just immediately think Texas is going to whoop Clemson. I thought that Clemson was going to present a unique problem because of Klubnik and their great corners, and also really their edge rusher Parker as well. But in all, I settled in on Texas. I think they're just too much to go against for Clemson. They are a very complete team, and they have such good trench play. It is so hard to go against Texas because they're going to control the line of scrimmage for the most part on both sides of the ball with great defensive tackles and also a great edge situation as well. And then they have, like I said, probably the best pass blocking line in the college realm. So I think Texas is the team to beat here, and that's who I'm going to ride with.